Welcome to the Great Basin Fire Potential Briefing for Friday, September 28th. This is Gina Palma. Over the next few days, we'll continue to have gusty to strong winds across the Great Basin. Today, mainly across northern Utah into far eastern Idaho and Wyoming, with gusts around 30 miles per hour. However, it's on Saturday as an area of low pressure approaches the region, where winds will increase significantly with south to southwest wind gusts above 50 or 55 miles per hour in a fairly large area across most of Nevada and Utah, and also with breezy winds up into western Wyoming. On Sunday, the stronger winds will shift south and east and mainly encompass the southern and eastern half of the Great Basin. However, relative humidity will be increasing across much of Utah, so although strong winds will likely be occurring, relative humidity will increase above 20%. Still in the areas shaded in orange on Sunday, we will continue to see the combination of gusty winds and low humidity. Over the last 24 hours, no showers and thunderstorms impacted the Great Basin, and we had light initial attack across the area. Over the last 7 days, only a few spotty areas of precipitation across the basin, and over the last 30 days, we've seen well below normal precipitation in all areas, even over the far south where we've had very light amounts of rainfall, but still less than half of what we would normally see this time of year. Therefore, ERC conditions are still very high across the Great Basin. Many areas are above the 80th to 97th percentile over much of southern Idaho into Wyoming and across much of Nevada and Utah. And looking at how these ERCs relate to the time of year, we're seeing ERCs at or above records for the time of year, generally region-wide. This would also put ERCs at the current level would be records for the time of year, even looking at July and August values. So ERCs very high across the area. We're also seeing record low 100 and 1,000-hour fuel moistures and very low live fuel moistures as well. Looking at the satellite loop this morning, there are a few systems to talk about. First, this system that's moving across the northern tier of the U.S. are keeping gusty northwest winds and dry conditions over northern areas. Therefore, we'll continue with high risk for gusty winds and low humidity over western Wyoming into northern Utah. We also have a strong area of low pressure off the California coast, which will be moving eastward and bring us the strong winds across the Great Basin tomorrow and Sunday. Yet another feature is Hurricane Rosa, southwest of the Baja Peninsula, which will be moving northward, and we will see much of this tropical moisture spread north across much of the Great Basin as we get into early next week. Now we'll look at our smoke dispersion forecast for this afternoon with those west to northwest winds. You can see the smoke plumes heading off to the east from our large fires in Wyoming and Utah and across central Idaho. As we move into Saturday, winds start to shift to the southwest and south. Therefore, we'll start to see that smoke being pushed more to the northeast, and these winds and wind direction will continue on Sunday. Looking at the weather forecast for later this afternoon, again, we already talked about much of the weather features today with dry conditions across the Great Basin and those breezy winds over western Wyoming and northern Utah, impacting our large fires in those regions. Relative humidity will remain in the low single digits across much of Nevada and Utah, and a little bit higher as you go further north. But you can see the wind picture on the right, still those breezy winds in areas of our large fires today in the north. However, we will start to see increase in winds also over western Utah into central and southern Nevada, with gusts between 25 and 30 miles per hour. On Saturday, as the strong low off the coast moves east into southwest Oregon, we'll see those south to southwest winds really increase across the Great Basin, and you can see a large area of high risk for strong winds and low relative humidity with wind gusts above 45 to 50 miles per hour. Also, we may see a few showers and thunderstorms out ahead of this low over central Idaho as we move late in the day on Saturday, but fairly isolated in coverage. Relative humidity starts to come up on Saturday as we get a little bit more moisture, but still relative humidity below 10 to 15% across Nevada and Utah. And again, you can see where those very strong winds are located on Saturday. These areas shaded in purple are generally wind gusts above 45 miles per hour. Moving into Sunday, the system lifts off to the northeast. We will have some moisture moving across the north, mainly in the effect of some cloud cover and increased humidity. Really very little shower activity expected. However, we'll continue to see those stronger winds over much of Utah, but where the winds combine with low relative humidity, we will see those conditions over western Utah into eastern Nevada. You can see Hurricane Rosa down here moving northward. We'll start to see some of that cloud cover overspread parts of the southern areas of the Great Basin on Sunday. Looking at the relative humidity picture, you can see how it's increased in the north and west as that first area of low pressure moves across the region, and also starting to increase in the far south as moisture from Hurricane Rosa starts to push north. but still strong winds over much of Utah into southern and eastern Nevada. And then again, you can see where those winds are also occurring in areas of lower humidity. Forecast amount of precipitation over the next 3 days. Up north in Idaho, mainly later on Saturday and Sunday, some lighter showers and thunderstorms. And then as we get towards early Monday is when we'll start to see that precipitation push north into parts of the Arizona Strip and far southern Utah. As we move into early next week, on Monday, you can see that moisture from Rosa really starts to push north with this area of low pressure off the west coast. We'll see those showers move in late Sunday and then increase on Monday over the southern areas of the Great Basin. We'll also see some cloud cover and maybe some light showers over parts of Idaho out ahead of this area of low pressure. We have no high risk for Monday, and you can see many areas of the Great Basin starting to transition out of the brown category for fire potential and more into the yellow and green, indicating the decrease in fire potential with that moisture. On Tuesday, this is really our biggest day for significant precipitation. Much of this will occur earlier in the day on Tuesday through Tuesday afternoon and evening. So this moisture is really more indicative of late in the day, but we will see significant amounts of rainfall across Utah, southern and eastern Nevada, and then up into western Wyoming and eastern Idaho. You can see all of those areas have gone into the green by Tuesday. Again, we're seeing rainfall amounts of over 1 to 2 inches in many locations. Further west, closer to this area of low pressure, we'll see showers and thunderstorms also potentially, however, not quite as heavy as what we'll see over the eastern half of the basin. Wet weather continues into Wednesday, again with the wettest conditions over the eastern half of the area, and you can see how all of those areas are in the green. Still, these areas in yellow over northern and western Nevada, and possibly into southwest Idaho, are going to be on the drier side of the system, but we'll still see wetting rains in these areas as well, just not quite as heavy as further east. By Thursday, the moisture starts to move eastward over the eastern half of the basin, with drier conditions pushing into the far west. Looking at overall amounts of precipitation over the next 7 days, you can see obviously the heaviest amounts of wetting rains will likely be across Utah, the Arizona Strip, southern and eastern Nevada. These areas in purple in the Arizona Strip are rainfall amounts above 2 inches, and then these brighter areas in blues are up to and above 1.5 inches. So therefore, again, significant amounts of rainfall over the eastern half of the basin. Again, you can see in the west, still much lighter amounts of rainfall, so we will see more showery type precipitation over northwest Nevada and southwest Idaho. Looking at the 8 to 14 day outlook takes us into the second week of October, showing below normal temperatures now in the north as we see more areas of low pressure move through the north, and then we're seeing a general wet signature, especially over the eastern 2/3 of the region. That concludes our webcast for today. Check back tomorrow for the latest updates.